I have a confession. I went to Starbucks for the first time in 3 months,
Oh my God.
and it's bringing me so much joy.
What'd you get?
I got a salted caramel hot chocolate.
Oh.
I know. So no coffee because I don't have a thyroid, but it's so much sugar.
I know. You're like,
I've been doing Whole30 for like a while now, and I'm so full of sugar right now.
are you like high on life right now?
I'm a little jittery. I'm a little shaky.
All right, it's going to be the fastest episode ever. Go.
It's gonna be a long time. Let's do this thing. Hi, I'm Cybil. I'm an esthetician and spa owner.
And hi, I'm just still laughing about that. I'm Alex Ellis. I'm a body nerd and wellness expert, and we are business besties.
And bosses. Running your own business, it's hard and requires sugar.
But we're terrible employees, so we're figuring it out.
I've already figured it all out, but I promise to share everything that we know about what it takes to make 6 figures and beyond.
And be brutally honest about what works and what totally sucks.
Oh my God, so much of it totally sucks. So let's get started.
So much of it does. That's very, very true. Welcome back to Skinfessional. On today's show, we are talking about tech and tools, and specifically how to pick the best tech and tools for your business, including everything from email marketing to web page builders and more.
And the best way to turn your email list into a money-making machine.
Just rain dollar bills. All
The dollar bills.
Dollar bills. So this conversation came up actually, like literally, you guys, for the last hour, we've been talking about this, from web page builders to email marketing and all the things in between. I also am in the process of switching accounting software, which I think when it comes, especially to an online business, and maybe Cybil for in-person kind of stuff is a little bit different. But it feels like every tool you have is like the most important tool and you absolutely need it. And so picking and choosing, if you're changing or anything like that can feel a little bit overwhelming because there's so many options. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to make the wrong choice.
No. And I feel the same way, especially when like so many of them you have to invest in.
Yeah.
And I feel like more and more of them are requiring you to like make these investments for a year. They're like, oh, hey, here's the price of it. And you get to the like checkout and they're like, oh, that price, it was for the year-long option. If you want to go month to month, it's going to be this other really crazy amount of money. And a lot of them are giving you less and less time to kind of kick the tires. They're like, oh, we'll give you like a 7-day. And you're like, 7 days? I can't look at this for 7 days. I can't even figure out like watching the tutorials for 7 days. What? And so it's really a lot of pressure, especially as an esthetician where I'm like, I barely understand some of the technology that I have to use sometimes. I understand the machines I'm using. They're all kind of the same. But like when you come to technology, you're like, this page builder does not feel like this other page builder. It does not feel like my email marketing software. They all feel very, very different.
And I feel like a difference in, equipment, because we've talked about equipment before, is when you are investing in a piece of equipment, there's a lot of money for this tangible thing.
Yes.
And for tech tools, like, yeah, there's monthly fees, but it's like $200 a month at like super high levels, all the way down to like $9 a month, which doesn't feel like a whole lot. But what you're really investing is your time to get this piece of software set up. So even for like a web page builder, right? If I could go back and do it again, I probably wouldn't pick the same like setup that I have on WordPress, but I'm now so far and so deep into it. Like I'm not going to go back and start again from scratch. It's easier to just keep going deeper and deeper into the mind.
Right. You're so entrenched in it. You're like, but I have everything. I understand it, and I have everything connected to it, and like I'll just keep hobbling along with it because like it's too late now.
It is too late now.
And because you have that feeling, because you've done that before, anything else you purchase, you have that like saga you have that trauma with you, right? You're like, but if I make this decision again, ooh, I'm getting chills right now. If I make this decision again, what if I hate it again? And I invest all this time and I'm there again.
Yeah. Well, I would say also there's nothing that can't be fixed with some money and some time.
It's true. So speaking of that, so things that we just talked about, we talked about the fact that you just hired somebody for your WordPress because you're like, I don't want to manage this anymore. I can't, and I'm hiring somebody.
Yeah. Well, I mean, basically what was happening is there was some custom elements added to it that are above and beyond what I understand. So the complexity is more than I can do on my own. And it's been a while. And so, tech and tools are the same. You can't add little tweaks and things like that and be like, all right, you're good, because the internet and all of the other things talking to it are constantly updating. And at some point you have to, upgrade as well. So yeah, I just hired somebody to come in and fix things for me. And actually, interestingly, some of the custom things that I had before, he's using out of the box products that have better support and better functionality. And, it's almost better not to, I'm trying to think of the proper term to say, but to not like bootstrap it.
Yeah, that cobble. That Nils would say, Nils, who's a tech guy, he's like, it'd be better not to cobble them together.
Yes. Because I've done that before too. The very first podcast I had, I was like, we're going to save so much money. I'm going to bootstrap everything. And we did everything custom. And I had the time to do it and the know-how to make it happen. And then very quickly what happened is, as the podcast grew, I was outgrowing my hosting because I didn't understand how podcasting works. So that's a perfect example of like, just pay for the tool, whatever it costs a month up front, to save yourself so much hassle down the line later on.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to invest in what's going to work best for you. And I know that for me, I'm taking that to heart because I am thinking for the future I'm building a shopping cart, and the shopping cart for my system is, I know for the long run that it's going to be specialized and it's a little dramatic what it has to do. And so I'm just like, listen, I'm going to have to pay right now for the long-term future. And I thought about all the things I needed to do now, and it's going to cost me money to build it now. Whereas I could literally cobble it together and it would kind of work and it would function on a small scale, but I want it to work big.
Yeah.
So I'm planning for the future and I'm like, let's go all in with that. Now I have a plan for it. If I just wanted to test it, I probably wouldn't spend that kind of money on it to start. Right.
No.
And you have to know the difference. Like if you're like, I'm just kind of getting started and I'm not really sure if I want to go somewhere with it, maybe that's not what you would do. You would just test it out.
Yeah. And I think that's like a good question too. Like, as you're looking at different pieces of software, like, what am I going to be using it for? And how integral is it going to be into like my day to day? Because that also is going to reflect on how much ponderance, is that a word, that I do before I make the decision. So I'm thinking of this accounting software too, right? It's November. I'm not going to switch accounting software right now, even though I know the one I'm using is busted, because I don't want to redo a whole year worth of stuff. I'd rather start afresh, which also means I have 2 months to really shop and try things out and look for them, knowing that this is something that I need to be reliable and that I can understand how to use, because I'm going to be in there all the time and it's with my money. Now, if we're talking about like a social media scheduler or something like that, for example, I mean, I would pick those up and drop them so quickly because it's like no big deal. You know?
Absolutely. And I have social media, like, I'll be honest with you, I've probably invested in, I want to say 9 social media schedulers. And honestly, I don't use any of them. I don't. I keep trying them, but none of them fit my kind of like needs and what I do. And right. But I'm always looking for the Holy Grail.
With social media too, I find it so interesting. I like to change things all the time, and when things get comfortable or like too like rote, I get bored and then I blow it up and then I start again. And I'm like, I've started back to where I was before with like a simple spreadsheet, and I'm like, there's something going on here. I'm not sure what it is.
Right. Totally. I totally get that. I totally understand that. And there are great tools, and some people need those tools, and other people are like, man, that's not my jam.
For sure.
It's all about what you need. So when we're talking about that, one of the things you're thinking about when you're picking out something that works for you is you need to look at what you're using it for, and what we just talked about, but also like what your needs are, how it fits you. So a friend will come to you and be like, hey, I use this thing and I love it, right? It changed my life. And then I'll be like, yeah, I tried to use that and it didn't fit at all. I did not like the feel of that. And you need to figure out for you when you're looking at a software, what do you need it to do? What is it comfortable for you? So like Alex, she loves systems and which everyone, systems are great. She loves systems and she likes to have like everything laid out and planned. And for me, I'm a little bit less of a planner and I don't like my systems quite as intense. And so we don't always like the same tool, right? Though many of the tools that we use are the same. It just kind of depends. So we were talking about website builders just recently.
Yeah, and email marketers.
And email marketers. And so we don't always see eye to eye on that. So one of the things that, we were talking about was when you first start looking for something, one of the things you look for is the integrations, because you want to make sure that you're trying to find something that fits into what you're already using. So you kind of look around the technology that you're using.
Well, also explain what integrations are.
So like, for example, you already have like a website that's built on, for me, like Shopify. All right. So I have a lot of stuff on Shopify. I am going to make sure that for my email, that anything that runs for me runs with Shopify, that integrates, that plugs in and works with that, right? That has like something that works with that. So I know that everybody loves like Mobile Monkey. What is it? MailMonkey? MailChimp? Everybody loves MailChimp. They don't work with Shopify. I know for me that's a huge, not ever going to work for me. Right? Whereas there's other systems that are going to work for me because they're like, oh, we have integration with that. We totally love to play with them.
Yeah. Yeah. And like another example would be for accounting software, because again, this is top of mind for me. Does my bank connect with it?
Right.
Because if the answer is no, and I'm having to manually input transactions every month, that's more work. I'm trying to make less work for myself.
Right. Such a waste of time.
Yeah.
Right? And time is money.
And there's ways to connect things. So there's another software that will connect to things that are not connected. But the more complexity that you get, the more chances there are for something to go wrong. But also it starts to add up. So I have a spreadsheet, tech and tools for AE Wellness, where I keep tabs on all of the software and tools and things that I'm using in my business. Some of them are monthly charges. Some of them are annual charges. When are those annual charges coming up? So I know how much money every month I need to be making to cover my basis for all of my tools. So I highly recommend keeping track of that, because the last thing you want is to keep buying things to try to solve a problem that you already have a solution for that you forgot about because you just didn't.
That is a good one. So even I have a spreadsheet of all of the tools and tech I've purchased, because a lot of times I'll be like, I own something that later I'll be like, I think I have something that does that. I've purchased that and I don't think I actually have ever used it, but I own it, and like you go into your basement and you're like, oh, I have that tool. Though I don't keep a spreadsheet of the ones I'm currently paying for, which is a good idea, Alex. That's a good idea. Because I do know that sometimes I'll be like, oh gosh, I'm totally paying money for this and I haven't used it in months. It's like those streaming services that you're like, am I even watching anything on that right now? Why am I paying for that? Right.
Oh yeah, no, I keep tabs on that stuff all the time. That's why my accounting software is so important to me to look. I mean, but one thing, like there's some stuff that like truly I'm like, I will continue to pay for you because you are worth your weight in gold. Anything that saves you time by automating something is worth it. Always, 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 always worth it. So
absolutely.
One thing that also, we've kind of touched upon, but I really want to stress too. So take advantage of these free trials. Like everything for the most part offers a free trial. If something does not offer a free trial, or they don't have a 30-day money back guarantee, that's another thing you'll see. So like the first time I signed up for QuickBooks, didn't like it, canceled, got all my money back. It was great. So go in there, look around with a few things in mind. Number one being like, what do I need this tool to actually be able to do? Right? So does it have the features that I need? But also like, do I like what it is like to be in here? Do I like the layout? Do I like how fast it loads? Do I like, the step-by-step to do this thing I want to do? Or does it just drive me crazy? Right? So I like, ActiveCampaign, which is an email marketing system. And it is very like, it's kind of bland and boring and I love it. But for Cybil, something that is, again, integrated to your Shopify Shopify that is super straightforward and easy to use and just like easy peasy. There's other things out there. Active Campaign isn't. We've talked about, you and I
No,
by
Active
ourselves before.
Campaign makes me want to die. And it understand that for me, Active Campaign, it clicks it checks all the boxes. Like it does this, it does this,
everything.
it does this. But every time I go in there, I'm like, it's not intuitive to me. I don't get it. It's really runs slow. It feels so like 1990s. And so obviously it's not for me, guys. It's not the place for me. For someone else, you might go in there and be like, this feels like home and magic. Right.
There's also too like different levels of like complexity for stuff. And I think an important thing is to look also at scale, right? So if I have 50 people on my list right now, what do I need to be using versus when I have 500,000, will this tool still be helpful, or am I going to have to change somewhere down the line, which like we've talked about too, it's just an incredibly annoying process that usually involves more time or more money, always.
Yes. Which scaling is something that I know for me, one of the things that has been is problem is that I do think like long term. And so I'll sometimes buy like a bigger tool than I need because I'm like, well, I know that I'm gonna have to scale. Like I just know it. And then I'll be like, but this tool is really complicated. And then I get mired. Right. So even though sometimes you think I'm gonna have to scale and maybe I'll have to move, I have learned that actually sometimes it's easier to just start smaller. Knowing that it's an easier thing and you can just get it done and it's fast. So like I literally just set up like a Wix page, just get it done, knowing that, hey, this is simple. It was no investment of time. And that if I want to set up something bigger later, I invested 0 time and I could just build something again. Right. So there is also a weighing factor that you can do. So what I would say is if you know that you're trying to scale something, sometimes weigh the fact, was this simple and easy and it just got the job done, to I invested a lot of time and some money into this, but it's not going to scale, and so there is like a balancing point in
totally
about these things, right?
Totally. Yeah. Growth.
Yeah. Guys, I know these are complicated, hard ideas, which is why we're having this conversation. And if you're like, oh my God, I'm freaking out right now. Oh my God. And I know this is where Alex usually says, freaking out right now and I'm sweating. This is my part to be like, I'm freaking out and I'm sweating and I'm uncomfortable because this is the land that I don't like very much. And I used to do tech, but I have found that new tech is so complicated. It used to be that I'd sit down and I'd code a page and I'm like, I got this. It's easy. But now technology, I don't even understand it sometimes. You're like, I need 19 things to make one thing work and I have to plug it all in. What the hell? Yeah, I get it. You're like, I need 14 apps. What the hell is a landing page? Yeah, I understand. It's super complicated seeming. But that's why, we're creating a class for this.
Yeah. And also you don't need to start at level 700. So you jogged my memory because I was like, well, I had a point to make and you could probably tell I didn't make that point because I forgot what that point was, but I remember now, which is figure out, okay, what is it that I need? I need email marketing. I need accounting software. Okay, great. What features are super important to me? So reporting is really important to me. I want to be able to see balances. Invoices are great, not really necessary. I got something else that does that. Okay. Then once you have, okay, here's some ways I could make that happen. Ask yourself, how can I make this easier?
Yes.
Because like us, I'm sure you overcomplicate things all the time. I wanted to make this spreadsheet and I immediately was like overcomplicating it and like trying to figure it out and like, well, I don't know how to do that. And I don't know. Literally walk away, come back a day later, 2 days later, talk to your business bestie, talk to yourself, your dog, whatever, a solution will come. Right. So anytime you feel yourself getting to that point where you're like, oh my God, I'm getting like really uncomfortable and really sweaty and I don't even know. Yeah. Walk away. You don't have to have an answer right away. And there are so many different tools available. If one doesn't float your boat, like go use another one.
Right. And, I know for me, and I've said this a couple of times because I feel that a lot of people have said this to me as well. There is this like anxiety paralysis that happens that you were going to make the wrong decision, that you were going to pick the wrong tool, that you don't know what to do. And then you're just like, I can't. And there's like this, like you float away. You're like, And that's the end of it. And you're like, and I gave up because I didn't know what to do. And so I stopped.
Mm-hmm.
The end of the day, just pick one.
Mm-hmm.
Just pick one. You're like, this one, somebody said it was good and I tried and I looked at it. Also, a really good thing. And I've been working with Nils, and Nils is a super geek. And this is literally what he does for a living, is he like builds things and figures them out. And what I've learned by working with Nils on figuring things out is he will sit down and just watch all the video tutorials.
I never do that.
Yeah. So he literally just sits down in front. I'm like, well, which ones are you going to watch? He goes, no, we're going to start from number 1. And I'm like, this is so lame. And he's like, no, that's what we're going to do. We're just going to start from number 1. He just starts watching the video tutorials from number 1. And I will say,
I'm falling asleep just thinking about that.
But no, I will tell you that it's incredibly useful. It's so nerdy. It's so nerdy. But I will say that, and like a lot of times you're like, but I already know this. Like, this is the exact same video as the other. And he's like, no, just keep watching it. It's there for a reason. And you know what? It's because they tell you something different in it. And you can watch them like I do in like 3 times speed, because like you're like, oh my God, this is like,
no, never watch at 0 speed. And if they do,
like,
I mean, seriously. To me, if you can't watch their support videos on 3x speed, that's a red flag. You should pick a different software.
Well, usually they talk pretty slow anyways. They're like, so this is the thing.
In this video.
Right.
Like, hurry up.
We're in California, we talk really fast. So I will say that is a good starting point for some people. And I actually have found that a very useful tool to be like, all right, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to sit down, and I'm not going to figure out where it's like, okay, this is the one thing I want to do. I'm like, nope, I'm just going to sit down for the next hour and just watch the stupid trading videos.
And if truly, you guys, if the thought of that makes your like skin crawl, you also don't have to do that. So what I like to do is I read blogs, like comparing things, because I only read every 4th word and I can read it super fast. But yeah, again, I think it's so important to find what works for you. What do I currently have? Are they going to play together? And is it something that like I enjoy using? If you collaborate or work with other people on specific things, like for my accounting software, like I'm totally going to talk to my tax preparer and be like, hey, what software do you use or do you recommend? And I will check it out to make sure that it, so everybody can like gel together and work together more efficiently.
Right. Nothing sucks worse than you realize that you're using something that literally no one else uses. So you know why everybody uses Mac? You know why? Because everybody uses Mac. You know why you have an iPhone? Because everybody has an iPhone. Mm-hmm. That's why you have an iPhone, because you're like, oh, you have an iPhone? That means you understand an iPhone. I understand an iPhone. We can iPhone together. We understand each other.
Because, to be honest, the iPhone is not the best phone.
I mean, but we all have it. So therefore,
I'm never changing.
Right. And until one day somebody is like, I made this phone and now everybody has this phone instead. And you're like, okay, cool. So now we all have this phone. So we can all like bump phones or whatever together instead, like the old days.
Bump phone.
I don't know. I don't remember if you remember that we used to bump phones together. It was called bumping. See, I'm an old school girl. It was called bumping.
I just remember the Sidekick, and I'm like back in 6th grade, and it was like, it was probably like this big, but like 6 times as thick.
Not that big.
Do you remember it had the teeny tiny screen, and then you would just like tap it, it would like flip up, and you'd have a full keyboard, and you like type away on that?
That is right, guys. We're all living our fantasies right here on Sidekick Fantasies. I had a Palm and I loved it. And now it's in the Museum of
Failures.
And it was my favorite phone ever. That's my phone in the Museum of Failures, guys.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I sent them mine. Mm-hmm.
That is so cool.
I know. Go ahead.
Oh, I was saying, let's talk about how to pick an email software.
Yes. This is the most important thing. People ask us all the time.
Yes. And I think the thing between you and connecting to your people and making money is an email list.
Absolutely. So, and I think it's where people actually kind of like fall through the cracks.
Yeah, well, it's overwhelming. You may also think, okay, but like, isn't that what Instagram or social media is for? No, because if the last week has been any indication, it's their game. So they can say what is shown, what is not shown. People were freaking out this week because they stopped showing new posts on hashtags. Yep. People were like, oh my God. But weirdly, like I was looking at a post and like people are finding it from the hashtag. So I don't really understand. Whatever. But an email list is something that you own. right?
Yeah.
So Facebook could implode. The government could say, no more Instagram, no more TikTok, whatever. But your email list is still your people. They're people who've raised their hand, said, I'm interested in learning what you have to offer. And so you're connected. So get an email list, period. When you're thinking of like, okay, well, which one should I go with? They all sort of do the same thing. So just touching upon some of the features of like what they mean and what they'd actually do. So there's usually two different ways to send emails through an email provider. So you could have like a one-off. Sometimes it's called a broadcast, which I have noticed in a number of different softwares, and I don't understand why it's called a broadcast.
Because it happens. Okay, this is the reason why. Because it happens simultaneously with usually text messages or something else as well. That is what technically a broadcast is supposed to be. So it happens. It's supposed to be happening with something else.
Yeah, they call it broadcast, or mine. I think it calls it I think they call it campaigns, which is confusing. Yeah. But so you're going to have whatever they call it, you're going to have the ability to send one email at a time. So what would you use this for? You know, a weekly email that has new stuff in it every week. So every week we have a new podcast for my personal podcast. Every week I have a new episode. And then I send an email to my whole list saying, hey, here's what the episode is this week. You're probably going to like it. Go check it out. Another way you would use that is if you're like, ooh, I have this idea and I want to tell people about this thing coming up, or I want to make an offer to them. That's another great option to send a one-off email. The other way you can send emails would be like a series of emails, something that's a little bit more automated. So sometimes they're called automations. I've seen them called sequences. Again, it would help if everybody had their own way to call it. But the benefit of that is every software you go to, it will be a little bit different. So it's whatever floats your boat. Yeah. So the emails where it's automatic, right? When would I use this? So this would be, let's say when people join my email list and I want to send them the same series of emails that kind of introduces them to who I am, what I'm about, what they're going to get from hanging out with me. That would be a good automation. Maybe for Black Friday, right? You're like, hey, I want it to start for everybody on this day. I want to send them this sequence of emails so that everybody sees the same deal, but it's, it goes automatically.
It reminds them that they can buy this thing at this time. And this is don't forget that these are on sale, yada, yada.
Yeah. And you can start to get more complicated in, I send them these emails, but when they buy the thing, they get pulled out. I mean, you can go to town with it.
It can go deep, man. It can go deep.
Super, super deep. Do you have any other ideas for like when you would use like a series or something?
So I actually like for emails, like series are the things that are used most. So like one of the series that I actually do use in my Shopify store is series to remind people to buy product again. So a person buys a product. I know that like this product is used up in about 3 months, 6 months, 4 months. So every product has a time frame on it. And then I'll be like, it sends out an email like, hey, you're due to buy this product again, go to the store, or remind me when you come in that you're due to buy this product. Because how many times has a person come in and been like, oh yeah, no, I totally forgot that I had to buy that. Right. So I use them for that. Also just the reminders to like come back in to see somebody. Like I have a sequence for like, hey, you missed an appointment. Hey, I haven't seen you in a while. Those kind of things. Right. You can literally sequence anything, everything under the sun.
Yeah. I think I talked about this before too, of like, I have a cancellation sequence.
Yes.
I have a, oops, you missed a payment sequence. Just so things that I don't have to do. I know. Thanks for helping me write that. The other thing I want to touch upon too, if you're like, oh my God, that is so many emails. Yes, I agree. So depending on how deep into e-commerce you are, e-commerce being selling stuff electronically on the internet. So I don't have, hey, you need to buy more cream stuff, because that's not the type of business I have. I send an email every week just to be like, hey, look, I made this new thing for you. If you are more product-based like Cybil is, you probably don't need to send an email every week. And if you're sending emails every week and reminders,
please don't send an email every week.
No. So I signed up for Athletic Greens, heard about it on a podcast. They're not sponsoring this. And I, got the product, and then they sent me an email like every 2 days for a month straight. You know what I did? I stopped opening them. And when I stopped opening them, you know what Gmail did? They said, oh, you're not interested in this. So they stopped showing it to me. So then when the notification that my billing was coming through came from the exact same email address from those people that I'd been ignoring for like 75 days, I missed it. They charged me. Oops, it shipped. And then I got this product that I didn't want and they weren't going to refund me. And it was a terrible customer experience.
So
Don't
let's
be those people. Don't send that many emails.
For just a second. This is deeper than we would actually usually go. This is a whole other thing. But Gmail and how it manages email situations is a whole thing. And you are not seeing all your emails.
No. Well, we'll talk about email marketability and how to increase your open rates. And we'll tell you how we're going to tell you that.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, it's amazing how email actually, there's a whole thing. We got whole things going on with email. Mm-hmm. So it is important to make sure that when you are choosing your kind of the email system that you're using, that you are choosing based on what it does.
Yep.
How it integrates, mm-hmm. which now you know what integration does, mm-hmm. how you feel about it. Like, do you feel comfy? Do you like it? I always like to look at the menu. Like when I look at the menu, I'm like, do I understand like what's happening, the words they're using, right? I then like to open it up and like, do I understand, like, is it a drag and drop system? Do they have templates already, like the pre-made ones? Do I get them? Do I like it? Right? Can I understand this? Because if I don't understand it, it's not going to ever work out. We are never going to be friends, right? It's just never going to work out. And then I like to really make sure that I can find tutorials on it, and not just the ones that they have, but other people who've talked about it, whether it's on YouTube or, blog articles or something else. Somebody else who's like, my favorite is when I go online and somebody has like esthetician uses this for X. And I'm like, that's amazing. I can't wait to watch this 1 hour video where they literally walk me through how they set this up. Mm-hmm. Those are that would be like my dream. Right.
Yeah. And I do think that that's one of the reasons why going with some of these bigger softwares like Shopify or, whatever is a good thing, because there are more of those things. Yeah. So like the accounting software I'm on right now, it's kind of obscure. There's not that many people using it. It's not the most popular on the market. Faster, better, cheaper, pick 2. And that absolutely happened.
Absolutely.
So going with like a name brand thing that like a lot of people recommend is not bad, because you'll end up getting more support, I think, down the line.
Absolutely. So, you say, words like QuickBooks, and people are like, oh, I know what that is. Mint. Oh, I know what that is. Mm-hmm. You say something like, I use TaxBot. People are like, what?
Mm-hmm. Sunrise.
Wait, huh? Did you say but? What?
I know. What's the butt of Texas? So funny, but it's true. All right. So also with email, so deliverability, we'll talk about. Something that you'll probably see is the option to have lists, which is a way to organize your or one way to organize the people on your list, right? So those are usually called contacts, or what do they call them? Do you?
So when I want to make sure. So like contact. So a lot of times this is where it gets a little bit confusing. So like contacts are often like, these are all the people, and then lists are the people where you take those people and you put them into like little categories, right? Mm-hmm. And they will be called often like, and some people do call them categories. Some call them like lists. Some people call them groups. Mm-hmm. I've seen. What else have I seen? I don't know. This is one that there's like a broad amount of things that some people get super cute on these. So like sometimes people let you name them yourself. Mm-hmm. So choices, man, choices. Yeah. But essentially you're just organizing your contacts.
Yeah. So on my list, everybody comes in and they are automatically subscribed to the AE wellness list automatically. Mm-hmm. And then I know if they're not subscribed to that list, they are super new on my list, or something has broken and I got to go look at it, in which case I go do it. But then I also have a list for my membership, right? All of my members are on one list because other magical things happen on the back end when they get added to that list. I also have a list of, you're coming to a webinar. Cool. I'm going to drop you on that list. It just makes it easier when I'm sending an email, right? sending a broadcast to say, hey, send it to everybody on this list, or send it to everybody on this list. Now, there's another way to organize your contacts from there, and that's typically called tagging. There's probably 800 different ways to describe that as well. But it's another way to add like identifiers to that specific contact, right? Mm-hmm. So I could have contacts in my AE wellness list. Oh, but this person is a client. They've actually bought something. And this person attended that workshop. And this person has, for you, they have acne, or this person's worried about aging or whatever. The benefit of that is I want to send an email about this new anti-wrinkle cream. Okay, well, I'm going to send it to people who only have that anti-aging thing on that, because the people who have acne, like, this isn't really right for them, right? So it's a way to then further drill down and specify exactly who receives a specific email.
Right.
I'm going to be fully honest with you. I have 5 trillion tags.
Me too.
I mostly send to everybody.
I do not. And I have 1 million tags, and I do not just mostly send it. I send in my newsletter to everybody, but I have 1 million tags and I use my tag. I love tagging. Tagging is actually my favorite.
See, there you go. And there's ways too. I know for me, like, I could have the low back people and the people who are interested in hips and people who are interested in that and whatever.
But I'm like a micro marketer. So like, yeah. I love tags. Tags are my absolute penultimate favorite.
See, and it's totally fine. You could be into tags. You don't have to be into tags. You can use them. It's all fine. It's all totally fine. So what else about email lists or just like emails in general, since I know that you're newer into sending newsletters?
Yeah. So I do like to make sure that, that they do have the ability. So for me, I think the hardest thing is I like to make sure. So for me, sequencing is really important. And one of the hardest things, I think, so see, drip. Like, so you do
like an automatic series.
Yeah, automation.
Okay.
Automation. Automations is really, like, I use a lot of which is why I tag so hard. Mm-hmm. And then I think one of the other things that can be very complicated and hard with emails is I use a lot of video. Mm-hmm. So, and you need to have you want to make sure that when you're picking your email, software, that you find the one that works with what you're using. So I use a lot of like animated GIFs. I use video in mine, and some of them support it better than others. Mm-hmm. And so you need to make sure that you find one that supports it better, than others. Also, one of the things that happens when I did a lot of research on email providers, some email providers. So one of the things that like Active Campaign does that better than many others is because it is so well known, is it actually has clout in the email market space. So when an email comes from Active Campaign, the provider like Google or something will be like, hey, that's probably more legit, and we're not gonna like throw it into spam. Mm-hmm. And that as actually you pay for that privilege, mm-hmm. whereas something that would come from a smaller provider might just get thrown into spam. What
was that small one you were using where they were like, yeah, we just decided not to deliver to these 300 people?
That was SendFox. Yeah. And they're like, well, we're not going to send to those people. And I was like, why aren't you sending to those people? Those people are on my list and they're approved. Like, they approved these emails. And they're like, no, we can't do that. And what I found out was because they are a smaller provider, that they will get limited on who they can send to and how many people they can send to. So, and that's what I like deep dove into all that information. So Active Campaign is actually, just so you know, one of the best and most well-known. They pretty much are golden gated. They're like, hey, anything you send is probably fine. Mm-hmm. Because they have been around so long.
Yep. I feel like
I have a lot of filters.
Been on Active Campaign for like 5 trillion years.
Well, they've been around for a very long time. The other one is Constant Contact. So those are the two.
Oh, I hate Constant Contact so much. Oh my God.
And just, I was on Constant Contact years ago. So I actually understand Constant Contact much better than I understand Active Campaign. I would say that I love it. Their tagging system is brilliant.
What was that?
Their tagging system is brilliant.
Well, see, I don't use tags. So there you go. Perfect example. What matters to you? And then follow suit with that.
There you have
it. if you're listening right now and you are like, what?
What? I glazed over and I was like, what? I don't want to ever do this. I just want to send out a really simple newsletter. What?
No. Well, so we've also talked about, look, if you don't have an email list, you need email list to have a business. It's one of the best ways. It's still, even to date, converts better than social media.
Yes.
Most of my sales come from my email list, even though the amount of followers I have on social media is about 5 times what my email list is.
I'm just going to say that I have an esthetician who, during the pandemic, shut down her shop, is sending just to her email list and making almost as much money as she was making just via her sales. She doesn't even have like an online store. She's just selling via her email list.
Product?
That's all she's doing.
Wow. That's awesome.
That's all she's doing. She's making almost as much money as she was.
So y'all need an email list. So we have actually put our heads together and we have an email workshop for you. So it's called Email List 101. And really our goal with this class is to teach you everything you need to know about setting up your email list, how to get started with funnels, which we sort of have touched upon, but we'll explain way more. And most importantly, how to turn your email list into a money making machine that keeps making you money month in, month out, day after day. So we will talk about how to set up your email list. I'll actually walk you through step by step how to do it. We'll talk about basic features to keep your email list organized. We'll talk about when, why, and how to send emails, not only keep people engaged, but also will actually be opened so that you don't end up in the dreaded spam folder. No. And how to get started with your very first funnel.
Yes, guys, I am super psyched about this. I need this just as much as all of you. And so if you are ready to do this, in fact, you are. So just do it. Let's do it all together.
Just do it. We're also including some awesome bonuses for you. So you will get an email topic idea generator. So if you're like, what the heck do I write? This is going to help you. You also get a welcome funnel template. So again, if you're like, wait, but what am I supposed to do? Again, step by step by step, we'll lay it out for you. By the end of this, trust me, you're going to know what a funnel is. You're going to know how to use this funnel, and you're going to have a funnel that is going to help you make the cheddar, dollar bills.
Right. And you're going to have set up the system. Like you're going to like know how to do things, right? You're going to be like, I get this. I'm going to know how to do this. I got this.
Yeah. I'll hold your hand. I'll be there for you.
You're going to be okay. You're going to figure this out.
So the best part is it's just $47. Like truly, you get all of that. You get lifetime replay. You get all those bonuses. You have an email list that is making you money. You will make, honestly, I feel like you're going to make back the price of this class by selling one product on your email list, right?
You will, I don't know about you, but all my products are more than $47 unless it's like a lipstick or something.
That's what I'm saying. Like one product and you're like, boom, like this class paid for itself. So it's so simple, you guys. Now, if you want to sign up, all you got to do is head to skinfessional.com. And you see workshops up there in the menu. Just click that. It'll take you right there to it. We're going to put it down into the description for the show as well. And even if you're listening to this after the fact, if you're like, wait a minute, when is this class happening? That's a great question. Cybil, let me look at my calendar. All right. It's happening on November 16th at 11 a.m. Pacific. So that's when we go live. If you want to be there live, if you want to ask your questions, if you want to get feedback and support right in the moment. And then you get the replay. So if you're listening to this after November 16th, no problem, because the replay is always there for you.
That's correct. And this is going to be amazing, guys. I'm so pumped. When Alex and I started first talking about this, I was like, oh my God, we got to do this because if I need this, everyone needs it. And that is why we're offering it to you at such a low price, because Alex is amazing and really she should be charging hundreds of dollars for this. So only for you because I asked.
But also we want you to feel confident in moving forward and taking these steps in your business and moving more into the online space so that you do have a recession-proof, pandemic-proof business that isn't reliant on you physically touching people in the salon or the spa.
Be successful. Be successful. I want you all to be successful. We want you all to be successful. It is time.
Yes. I love that. I love that. I love that. So we want to hear from you about tech and tools and software and what you're using. And if your brain exploded, I hope it did not, but if it did, you can reach out to us, send us any questions, tell us what's going on Instagram. The show is at Skinfessional. Cybil is at Your Skin Fitness Expert, which is those two. I'm like, yeah, easy to spell. And then I'm at Holla for Mala. Good luck with the L's. Godspeed. Or you can give us a ring-a-ding in the Skinfessional box.
Yes, and we do have a box, and we love it, and you should all be calling it all the time. The number is 818-473-5277.
Call the box all the time.
Call the box, people. Call it. Call me all the time on the box.
Hey, do you think by the time we do our next episode, we'll actually have a president-elect?
I mean, I'm only hoping. Guys, let us know what you think. You think we're going to have a president? Woo! And if you're out there in all the states who are making this happen, thank you. All right, guys. Until next week.
Keep your secrets to yourself.
Unless you're telling us.
Okay, bye.
Bye.